Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of Tuesday with KJ. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Corey Jane Spalding. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I just turned 20 years old. I also just hit 400,000 TikTok followers, which is crazy. It's because of you guys that I'm able to do what I love to do. So I love you guys, which is writing. This is my poetry book called Books Closed. You might have seen it floating around on social media. It's $12.99 on Amazon right now. And if you're a long-time follower of mine, I just started selling signed copies for a limited time on my website, coryjane.squarespace.com, if you want to check that out while it's still in stock. The only way this podcast can grow is by word of mouth, so if you like what you hear today, share it with your friends, and if you hate what you hear today, share it with your friends. Y'all can laugh at me together. I don't mind. I applaud it. Now let's get into the video. In honor of me turning 20 years old, I'm going to be sharing 20 things I learned as a teenager. Number 1, time goes by really fast. Stop wasting it wanting to grow up. I felt like I was in middle school yesterday. When I tell you that I really thought I was going to be a teenage girl forever, when you are a teenager, you think it never ends, and then it ends super quickly. Time is not kind. It leaves no mercy. You either become paralyzed watching the train disappear before your eyes, or you get to jump on the train, and at least you can admire the views along the way. Time does not wait for you to catch up. If you don't let yourself be the age in which you are, you will wake up one day, and you will be 20 years old making a podcast about how you wish you just got on the stupid train. So what does this mean practically? I'm about to be giving you these 20 things of advice. I'm going to give you practical things to do, not just follow your heart. Things that don't really mean anything. So if you have a journal next to you, write these down. I want you guys to keep reflecting on these. So what does this mean practically? Well, keep your mind planted where your feet are and your heart beating for the places that your eyes are looking to go. So what this means is don't live in the past. People mess up, you make mistakes in the past, and you got to get over it. If you think you're perfect, you're going to have a hard life. And this also means don't live in the future. As middle schoolers, you want to be a high schooler. And as a high schooler, you want to be in a college. And as college, you want to be blah, blah. That's how it works. And then don't waste your teenage years wanting to be older, because once you become older, you're going to wish that you were a kid again. And that's, I think, why we have kids. That part of that childhood gets to come back. But anyways, you don't want to waste your childhood grieving a childhood you did not let yourself have. There's a saying, and it was, days are long and years are short. And oh my gosh, is this so true. Years go by really fast. You're going to be an adult before you know it. So just enjoy where you are. Don't live in the past and don't live in the future. Enjoy the moment that you are in today, okay? Number 2. Don't neglect your loved ones for superficial friendships. So I had a lot of friends in high school, and I don't mean to say that to toot my own horn. I just happened to be in a lot of different groups, and my house happened to be the house that everyone was at. I had an open door policy. I had people over all the time. And if I'm being honest with you guys, 3.5 years later, I keep in touch with 3 of them. I had probably had over 50 friends my 4 years of high school, and I keep in touch with about 3 of them still. Everybody always thinks that their high school friend group is going to last forever, and it's amazing if yours does, but you have to have a realistic expectation. You're going to have a few friends from high school that last. So what does this mean? It means spend more time with your family, because your family, your loved ones, your siblings, your parents, those are going to be the people that you spend your whole life with. And what's fascinating is first 18 years of your life, or however long you live with your parents before you live on your own or go to college, that is going to be the majority of time that you spend with your parents and your siblings. And oftentimes you're going to grow up and you wish that you spent more time with them. I know I have. So hang out with friends. That's good. That is so good and healthy to hang out with friends, but don't neglect your family, no matter how annoying you think they are right now. And there's always exceptions to this. Some households are not good to be in, but at least for me, I wish I spent more time with my family as a teenager before I left across the country, because now that I'm back home living with my parents, it's funny. I'm spending some weeks I spend more time hanging out with my siblings and my parents than I do with my friends. And if you were to tell me that when I was 17, I would really laugh in your face. I would laugh in your face, but I'm telling you, don't neglect your loved ones, okay? Do you really have to skip family dinner that's once a week to go to your friend's house that you see every day? You don't, okay? You're gonna wish you had those family dinners when you're older. Number 3, speaking of friends, you are who you hang out with. Pick your friends wisely. So we hear that a lot and we're like, what does that actually mean? So practically, I would say, pick friends that make you into a better person, not friends that make you have so much fun you forget the purpose of being a good person. Friends can disrupt your peace and change the way you think if you let them. I also think, just a little side note, a little tip, if there's a person who has has a long laundry list of old best friends or old friend groups, and you are starting to become friends with them, and they say, it was everyone else's problem. Usually there's something to be said if someone has a lot of failed friendships. So if everyone over here is telling you that this person was in the wrong and this one person is saying they were all wrong, I'm not saying it's always the case, but it often is the case that there is a reason. So just be careful about those types of people. Number 4. This one is very important. Know what you believe in. So I'm a Christian. I'm proud of the fact that I'm a Christian. I talk about it on my platform, but this is not only for Christians. In fact, if you're a Christian listening to this, I'm telling you right now, go read up on other religions. Go figure out why you believe in what you believe in. This is not only about religion. This is about politics. This is about worldviews. This is about things that you think are right and wrong. You may think that you have the rest of your life to do this, but in reality, the longer you wait to come to terms with what you believe in, the bigger your identity crisis will be when you're in your mid-40s and you realize that you were living what your parents believed in. And man, is that hard. So you are not your parents' beliefs. And if you grew up in a Christian household, please go learn about other religions. If you grew up in an atheist household, please go learn about other worldviews. Same thing with politics. Because it would suck if you were in your 60s and you realize your whole life is a lie, and you didn't actually know what you ever believed in. So please learn what you believe in, be able to articulate it. And another big point with this one is know what you believe in, but don't make it your personality trait. So if you have strong opinions about politics or about other things, I'm telling you, it is not worth losing friends over. You have to pick your battles. And it would be unwise to only surround yourself with people with the same political leanings as you, because then you're never going to learn. I've always said that the way someone treats a person who believes in the opposite of them, that tells me more about their character than what they actually believe in does, right? Like, if there's an election, the way a person is going to treat someone who didn't vote for the person they wanted to vote for, the way they treat them is more important to me than who they actually voted for. So know what you believe in, guys. Number 5, weird people are your neighbors in the real world. So I'd like to think that in high school I was pretty kind to the oddballs. I'd go up and talk to them at lunch and sit next to them in class. And then I'm looking back and I kind of realized that I did that out of pity, not out of a curiosity to want to be friends with them. I don't know why this is not talked about. The people that in high school you say are weird, in the real world, those are going to be your coworkers. Those are going to be your bosses. In the real world, when you have a real job in a real house with real neighbors and real coworkers, there is no normal and weirds. You're not like, I'm going to pick this neighborhood because these people are normal and the weird people, the weirdos, sit by themselves. That's not how real life works, guys. In the real world, there is no us and them. There is no them and us. And these weird people that you would not have chosen to be friends with in high school are sometimes the kindest, best friendships you would have been able to have. And so if you realize this as a teenager, it will give you the opportunity to make friends or have conversations with people you never would have had, because you learn that in the real world, those weird people are going to be your bosses and your neighbors and your friends. Okay. Popularity is so stupid, okay? And every high school or middle school, popularity is so stupid. You don't believe it because you're contributing to it, okay? Popularity is so stupid. In the real world, you don't go to the grocery store and you're not at the grocery store and the popular people are over shopping on this section and the weirdos are over here because they don't dress like us. It's not real life, guys. It's not real life. It's not real life. It's not real life. In the real world, you are going to learn at some point in your life, and why not make it now, that these people that you find weird are going to be your friends in the real world. Okay? Yeah. Number 6, keep relationships and dating casual and lighthearted. So in my experience, being boy crazy does you no good. It ruins friendships and breaks hearts. And so if you can help controlling the amount of times you think during the day, do they like me? Do I like them? Like, what did this mean? Like, blah, blah, blah. Try to do it. I heard this quote one time, and it was, girls think about what guys are thinking about more than guys been thinking. And guys, don't be offended by this. Y'all are all so smart. But I think there's an ounce of truth to it. At least for me and my friends, like, we spent so much time thinking about guys, okay? Don't do it. And sometimes you can get in the mindset of like, I can't help it but think about, oh, does this person like me, blah, blah, blah. Is that the truth, or do you really just not want the boredom that comes with not having someone to obsess over? I know that's harsh, but that's probably true. And now for dating. Having a crush is good, but living like you are married and giving your heart away to someone as a teenager is not good. You're a teenager. Have fun. Don't be tied down. Go on dates, meet people, go to prom, get butterflies when a guy texts you, but don't get into a codependent, serious relationship in your teens, guys. So I used to think that I was the exception to this because I was like, oh, I'm a lot more mature than my peers are. I'm more emotionally mature. So I can be in a serious relationship, but they can't. If that's you listening to this, please, I'm begging you to hear me. That is more of a reason not to get into a relationship. And if you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Listen. No teenager should be in an adult relationship. This means you would be able to have adult feelings in a teenage relationship, and teenage relationships don't last. So why would you do that? Why would you do that? Okay? Don't waste your teenage years being an adult and having an adult relationship. That's not what your teenage years are for. Your teenage years are learning who you are as a person so that when you are an adult, you can find somebody that's compatible with that. But if you're a teenager in an adult relationship, you become the other person, or you become so dependent on the other person. And so, like, guys, not like 1 out of 100 people who date in high school actually end up together. I don't know if it's a real statistic. It's probably less than that. But everyone thinks they're the exception. Honey, you're not. I'm sorry. You're not the exception. I thought I was the exception 2 times. And I really, really, really did. I really thought I was. I thought I was. So, I'm not saying don't date. I'm saying you need to look into yourself and you need to be honest and evaluate. Are you the kind of person who can date casually without getting too attached and without making it into the serious codependent relationship? Oftentimes the people who are like, oh, I'm ready to date in high school. Sometimes they're the ones who shouldn't date in high school. You know? Too much at stake for such large feelings for those types of people, such mature feelings for those types of people, and too much at stake. So if I spent the amount of time obsessing about making friends and making good, like, friendships as I did with boys, maybe I would have more than 3 people I'm still talking to from high school. Just a thought. And on the subject of, like, relationships and stuff, thinking about breakups are really hard. I had my first, like, real breakup when I was 16, and oh my gosh, was I an absolute mess. If that's you right now, what I'm going to tell you is the reason why first heartbreaks hurt the worst is because you have not learned that you will love somebody again, and you will. So my first heartbreak was after a relationship that was about 8 months, and it hurt worse than my relationship after a year and a half did, because after my second relationship, I had learned that I will love again. So I'm telling you that you will find love again. And I know you're thinking, no, you don't understand, Corey, like, he was different. I actually will never find someone like him again. I'm sorry, but that's stupid. I thought that too. You're going to find another Steve out there because soulmates are made, they're not found. And you're actually not going to find another Steve. You're going to find someone better because you're going to find someone who ends up working out with you. And so also another thing is, I don't like saying, oh, our relationship ended. Your relationship didn't end. Your relationship was completed. It has run its course. Its purpose has been completed. And it will be okay. You're one person closer to the one that you'll be with forever, you know? You're not the exception. You'll find someone again, okay? There are, of course, exceptions, and people do end up together from high school. But they're probably not the couples who are in these codependent serious relationships, because awakening that before it's time, it's not healthy. It usually doesn't end right. Or what's worse is you do stay together forever, and you were never able to meet any other people. And so you're stuck with this person that isn't actually good for you, but you were so codependent at such a young age that you don't know how to leave them, and you're miserable the rest of your life. So all I'm saying is be careful with dating as a teenager. Keep it light, keep it fun. Meet people. You may think that you found the love of your life because you've never had another love, so you don't know. Number 7. Don't waste your teenage years partying, but when you do, be smart about it. So I did not have like a huge partying phase in high school because it wasn't like super appealing to me, but I had friends who did, and this is what I've concluded about partying. It isn't partying that makes you a bad person. It just makes you grow up too fast. You have your entire adult and elder life to experiment with substances or partying behavior if that's what you want to do with your life, but you're only a teenager once, so don't waste it by growing up too quickly. And if you hear that and say, oh, I don't care, I'm still going to party, which I know most of y'all will hear, then here's my advice, okay? Don't be stupid. Like I said, partying doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you grow up too fast. Another thing I would say is partying doesn't make you a bad person, but it gets you in bad situations. So my advice to you would be, just don't be stupid. Don't do things that you know are dumb with dumb people. If you're going to do things that you know are dumb, do them with smart people so you don't get into bad situations, okay? Number 8. This is a big one. Don't wait to grow up to make a difference. So young people oftentimes cut themselves short. They wait until they grow up to make a change, but tomorrow isn't promised, you know? So don't wait. David was a teenager when he killed Goliath in the Bible, and it said that whenever he went out to see Goliath, he ran. He didn't sheepishly walk towards him. He charged Goliath. Some people say he was as young as 13 when he defeated Goliath. Mary, she was a teenager when she had Jesus, and when she heard, she wasn't like, oh, I'm too young for this. She was like, okay, yep, that's what I'm gonna do. And she did it. And if you're like, oh, well, those are biblical examples, like those are different. Okay, let me give you some more examples. Joan of Arc was 13 when she led the French army to defeat the English. The classic book The Outsiders by S.C. Hinton was written at the age of 15. Bobby Fischer at age 15 became the youngest chess player who got named Grandmaster. So don't wait until you're older to make a change. Find a cause and fight for it. Start an organization, join an organization, go help people, make ideas, start writing something. You know, there's that project you've always like, I want to do that when I'm older. Do it now. What are you waiting for? When I started writing my book, that I'm working on a novel right now, and I actually started writing that idea 4 years ago when I was a junior in high school. And if I was like, I'm not going to write this down, I'm not going to pursue this because juniors don't write books, I would not have the story I'm writing right now, which will probably be doing fairly well with the platform that I've built. So do something. Most people only use half of their brain potential or half of their energy. And on average, Americans waste 5 hours per day. That's almost a 40-hour work week doing things that don't matter. So that's like 2 weeks out of every month. That's half a year, guys, that we could be spending time doing something that's meaningful and changing something, because tomorrow isn't promised. And doing things for other people is doing something for yourself, because it's good for you to step out of yourself and see the bigger picture and contribute to something that's outside of your needs. Number 9. All right. Learn when to fit in so you can know when to not. There's something good to fitting in. I know that's controversial. Let me explain. There's something good to fitting in because you're able to learn how to function in the society as a productive and likable person. You need to learn how and when to fit in so you know which parts to, which rules of that to break so that you can become your own person. Don't fit into what is cool because you want to be cool. After all, someone started that trend on their own. Instead, fit into what is good because you want to be good. Doing what is good and what is cool is often at odds, but you will be remembered by doing the good thing rather than the cool thing that everyone's doing. Like, in a few years, if Jennifer was doing what everyone else was doing, no one's going to remember that because everyone was doing it. But if she kind of breaks away and is going to do what's good, people remember that. So another caveat to this, though, is I used to be like, oh yeah, I'm not fitting in with people. I'm different. I that's such an annoying thing for me to say, but I wanted my own style. I wanted my own voice. I wanted my own opinions, and that was good. But also my wanting to be different was because I wanted to be liked. And so people who want to be different and then people who want to fit in, both of their motivations is to be liked. So you need to have a little bit of both. You need to learn when to be different and learn when to fit in so that you can just be yourself. Because you'll be most liked when you are yourself. So yeah. Number 10. Ooh, y'all are going to be mad at this one. Put your phone down and be productive. But when you don't, use it wisely. I need to follow this advice more. So you need to teach yourself to read a book or go outside when your screen time gets too high. Screen addiction is a real thing. Can we just talk about that for a second? I think most everybody is addicted to their screen. I think most everybody is addicted to their screen. And you know, it has created a generation of people who are addicted to stimulation, who can't do one thing at a time. You know, like, that's crazy that we have to be scrolling on our phone while we watch a movie, or when someone's talking to us, we have to be doing something, or if we're running to color, we have to have a show on. It's not normal. It's not healthy. So my advice is learn how to do one thing at once. Read a book without listening to music. Do homework without watching YouTube, okay? And vegging isn't bad, right? Like, if you've had a long day and you're like, Corey, I just want to scroll on my phone, do it, but don't watch a movie at the same time. When you are wanting to kind of just like do something mindless, do a one thing though, so you can train your brain to be 100% into one thing, because Gen Z is a generation of people who swear they can all multitask. I'm one of those people. I feel like I work better when I have two things going on at once, but in reality, when you have two things going on at once, you can't give 100% to each of those things. And so it's good to practice being able to just do one thing at a time. And when you are like, okay, Corey, I need to be watching a show and scrolling, like, you don't understand, like, I'm just having a bad day, go for it. We all have those times, but try to make most of that time not YouTube videos that you're going to forget next week. Learn something interesting. You know, phones can be used for such good. I've been able to use my phone to be able to turn my passion into like a job and a career with my writing. I have learned more on YouTube than I have at school, right? Like, phones can be really good. So use them for good. When you want to veg on them, when you want to scroll for hours, make it stimulating to the brain. At least sometimes. Be cautious of how much you're not doing that. You know, the average screen time for Gen Z is 9 hours a day. And I think, if I'm being honest, for a lot of people, it's a lot more than that. I know it is an addiction, so it's harder said than done, but when you're on your phone, let's just try doing it one thing at a time and making it good for you, at least. Because if you're going to be on your phone all day, at least do something good with it. Number 11. You are not supposed to know what you are doing yet. Guys, don't tell your parents that I'm the one who gave you this advice. They're not going to let you listen to me anymore. Don't be a slave to your grades, okay? Having a social life and hobbies are just as important as school is. And I know that's controversial to say. Someone had to say it, though. In 10 years, you're not going to remember the tests you forgot to do, but you will remember the memories you made. And that's not to say that you shouldn't work hard. If you're failing all of your classes, dude, step it up. You're not going to be able to live in the real world if you can't even do school. You need to learn how to get your responsibilities done now before the stakes are higher and you lose your house because you didn't do your responsibilities. So work hard, but not harder than you have to. I need y'all to listen to what I'm about to say. Staying up all night every night in order to get all A's is just as unhealthy as staying up all night every night out with friends and failing every class. They're both just as unhealthy. Now, like about college and stuff, you're not supposed to know what you're doing right now. Man, when I was in college, when I was a teenager before college, I had so many career ideas. I told my mom, I was going to be president. I can't believe I even thought I was wanting to do that. That sounds terrible now. I was wanting to be an FBI agent for a long time. I was for real about that. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a singer. All of these things. And I was serious about them when I thought so. And you're going to change them, and that's okay. Like, you're not supposed to know what you're going to be doing yet. People change their majors all the time. It's okay. You're still learning. Being a teenager is not supposed to be deciding what you want to do, but just figuring out what you like to do right now. Try a bunch of things out, see what you like. And here's another controversial statement. If you don't want to go to college, don't go. Okay? Don't go into debt for something you don't want to do. I think college can be really good for people. It wasn't good for me. A sign for me that I should have known not to go to college is I hated school. I liked learning on my own. I didn't like the structured learning environment. And so, of course, I wouldn't like college. If you are like, I hate school and what I want to do with my life doesn't require a degree, you're going to hate college. Because not only are you still hating school, but you're doing it for something you don't even need to be doing it. In high school, we had to go to school, but you don't even have to go to college and you're doing it and you hate it. And so there's some degrees where you need to go to college, want to be a lawyer and be a doctor. That's great. Go do that. And some people are like, Corey, I don't know what I want to do, but I know that I want to go to college because I want to read dusty old books. And I like that. And go for it. Do it. Learn about the arts. That's amazing. I'm not one of those people that is like, only go to college if it's for business or if it's for a specific degree. No, like some people, one of my best friends is going to college for like fashion designing. And I'm so supportive of that, even though I don't think a lot of fashion designers need a degree. Like, if you love college and you want to, grow your rational will by learning things, do it. But if you don't want to go to college, don't. But if you don't go to college, you need to have a backup plan, right? You need to have something that you're going to be doing. Learn a trade, find a hobby. You're going to need to be working. You need to be doing something. And your parents might be mad that you're not going to college, but they'll get over it. And you need to prove yourself then to them that it was a good decision that you're not going to college. Also, you can always take a gap year. That's what I did. I think gap years are great. You get to figure out, okay, I'm taking a gap year, so I'm not in school. I'm knowing this is what it's like to not be in school, and I'm giving myself an extra cushion to figure out what I want to do because there's no rush to college, right? Like, take a gap year, go travel, go explore, do something you love to do, and then figure out what you want to do with your life. Number 12, have grace on yourself. So, you're a teenager. If you're a teenager, you're going to be angry, and you're not going to know why. You're going to be sad, you're not going to know why. And that is okay. It's not okay to be mean to people, but it's okay in the sense of you're growing and you're learning, and you'll be okay. Oh, my cat is trying to say hello. So have grace on yourself. You're not crazy. You're just 15, and you're going to mess up. You're going to do something one day where you're not going to be able to get out of bed because you're going to think, man, I never would have thought I would have done that. And it's okay. It's part of life. It's part of growing. It's okay. Forgive yourself. Get up. Don't do it again. And then when you do it again, forgive yourself. Get up and don't do it again. I think that this also comes with having grace with others. I think it's not a good mindset to look at something someone said and be like, oh, I would never do that. Man, God has a funny way of humbling us when we minimize the harm we can do. And if you don't believe in God, then ourselves have a funny way of humbling us when we say, I would never do that. And then we end up doing something worse. And we're like, oh my gosh. So before you judge other people, remember that just like you need to have grace on yourself, you need to have grace on others. I just thought of another thing from one of my last points about the phone. I don't want to forget this. Gen Z is funny. Oh, my cat's trying to say hello again. Gen Z is funny because we have made a generation of people who think that they owe other people owe access to themselves 24/7. Just because you have a phone device in your pocket 24/7 doesn't mean that people have to reach you 24/7. You do not have to respond to everybody. You do not have to respond to everything. You simply don't, guys. You really don't, okay? You know, it's funny. It's like, oh, you have a boyfriend, you're talking to someone, you have a best friend, and they didn't answer your text within 2 hours. And you know that they're on their phone because everybody checks their phone every hour. So your straight thought is, they hate me. They don't like me anymore. I did something wrong. Why do we think like that, though? Because we don't owe anyone our constant time. Just because someone has a phone in their pocket 24/7 does not mean that they owe you access to them 24/7, okay? If you are in a relationship or a friendship where you talk every single minute and you tell them every detail of what you're doing, oh, I'm getting up to go do this, I'm getting this, I'm doing this, it's not healthy. Like, it's not. You need to learn how to be your own person. My parents have a great relationship, and my dad does not text her, hey, what are you doing, every single hour, and she sends a picture of what she made herself for lunch every day. Like, you need to be your own person, and you can't do that if you feel that you have to connect yourself with others 24/7. You simply don't. So before you freak out when your friends aren't responding to you, maybe they're not ignoring you. Maybe they're doing something else, which is okay. I think it's a red flag when someone responds to my text 24/7, because I'm just like, man, like, they need to learn how to set boundaries for themselves, because if they don't know how to set boundaries for themselves, how are they going to set boundaries with me, and how are they going to accept my boundaries that I set for both of us? So yeah, anyways, sorry about going back and forth, but next one is stop gossiping, but listen for it. So it's in our nature to judge people, but don't turn that judgment into gossip. It will bite you in the back, always. Teenagers are flaky, and what they tell and what you tell Lucy about Grace will end up telling about Lucy to you. So just be above reproach in that way. Friendships are not reliable in high school, and go gossip your head off to your mom or your dad or your siblings or whatever, but be careful when you say things to people and what you say and who you choose to trust. It's just, gossiping is not worth it. It's not worth it. Talk about positive things, okay? I think in high school, there's often two groups, the partiers and the non-partiers, and the partiers judge the non-partiers for being lame, and the non-partiers judge the partiers for, like, being irresponsible or dumb. They both are in the wrong, not because of if they're choosing to party or not party. They're both in the wrong because they're judging. And then there's people in the middle, and both the parties are judging the people in the middle. But y'all just need to chill out and stop judging and let people make their own decisions, let people make their own mistakes, and let people learn. It might be at a different pace than you, and that's okay. Yeah. Another little note I want to share about gossiping is, you would think this is intuitive, but a lot of people kind of forget about this. If someone is gossiping to you about someone, they're gossiping about you to other people. What someone says to you about others, they will tell others about you. So be careful, because it doesn't mean you can't be friends with people who gossip, but I mean, I wouldn't share personal things about myself to someone who is telling me other people's personal things. I wouldn't do it. And not because, like, if they trust me so much and they know that I wouldn't say anything, that doesn't change anything. It's the fact that they did not give the other person the amount of respect of, even if I know that my best friend I'm going to tell this to won't tell anyone, you don't want anyone to know. So I'm not going to tell anyone, okay? Number 14. Find a hobby. So if all you do is go to school, have friends, have family, and then maybe like maybe go to work or even church on Sundays, you will not find yourself content. You have to find a hobby, such as working out or reading or writing or sports or crafting or taking walks or anything. You need to find a hobby to keep you interested. And work is not your hobby. That doesn't count. When I'm saying a hobby, I'm talking about something that you would do if you weren't getting paid for it, if you weren't getting a scholarship for it, something that you genuinely like enjoy doing. So you need to find a hobby that you like. For me, I had a new hobby every month. I went through any phase you could think of, I went through it. went through a jewelry making phase. I went through a knitting phase. I went through a pottery phase. I went through a softball phase. I went through like a yoga phase. I went through every phase you can think of. I went through it and I loved it. And if that's you, then find a new phase every month. Do it. Keep making projects and then picking new projects. Do it. And if you're the person who has found football and you stick to football and that's all you like, great, stick to it. You not only need to find a hobby though, but you need to find people who share this interest in as you, because you can't be a fulfilling contribution to the hobby in a vacuum. You need to find other people to do it with. Number 15, learn to distinguish between toxic friends and toxic behavior. So you need to learn patterns in toxic people. And I feel like we hear that a lot, like don't let toxic people disrupt your peace. But you know, what is toxic? What does that even mean? In my opinion, in my experience, toxic people are the ones who are prioritizing themselves over the other person. And so you have to look, okay, is this friend, is this relationship partner's motivation? Is it, my cat keeps trying to say hi, so I can't hear that. If this person's desire is to fulfill themselves, then that's toxic. And they even sometimes can mask it as in they want you to think it's about you, but it's not. Such as when people say, I don't know what I would do without you. I'd hurt myself if you weren't here. Man, is that so toxic? Because it's actually about them and they're masking it about you. And so you need to watch out for toxic people. And so my advice is be quick to cut out toxic people, but quick to forgive toxic things. So good people do bad things. You've been toxic. I've been toxic before. So be quick to forgive, but also quick to take note. Is this a pattern or is this an isolated expression of the brokenness of human nature, right? And so like cut those people out if they are toxic people, but if they are good people who do toxic things, be quick to forgive. This also means you have to be quick to say sorry, because you can't expect others to be quick to forgive you if you're not quick to apologize for yourself and your actions. Number 16, if you always compare yourself to others, you won't know who you are. So if God wanted you to be like Susie, he would have made you like Susie. If you spend high school comparing yourself with others, you'll get to college or whatever you do after high school, and you'll have a complete identity crisis. So the reason this is another thing that I just don't know why it was never vocalized to me. I'm going to give a silly example. In my neighborhood that I grew up in my little suburb in Houston I grew up in, it was trendy, I guess is the right word, to wear sweatpants and a tank top out. And that would be cute, right? Like, we did that out to the store, out to school, and it was cute. And when I moved to California, when I went to school for last year up there, I brought a bunch of sweatpants. I brought like 10 pairs of sweatpants and 2 pairs of jeans. And I don't just like wear things because they're cool. I wear them because I think they're cute too. So I did think they were cute. And I remember, I got there and I was the only one who ever wore sweatpants out. And everyone else was wearing like these nice outfits when they would go to the store and stuff. And I'm not talking about this is all California. This was just like right in the area that I was in. But it's just an example that like, if I was in Houston with my friends who all wore sweatpants out and someone was like, came in with like a really cute outfit, they'd be like, that's kind of weird. But in another place, that's normal, and the opposite is weird. And so what you are comparing yourself to try to emulate, it's not even the big picture. Like, that's not even how real life works. And so you need to figure out the style that you like and how you like to dress outside of what other people are like, because when you go to college, it's going to be completely different. And then you're going to have to change your whole wardrobe or your whole way you talk or the things that you value just because of what other people are doing. And that's what you're going to do your whole life when you switch from people to people to people, because everybody's different. And like what's cool in one place is not what's cool in another place, which I think is so fascinating. It just kind of puts into perspective of like, wait, why do I care that y'all think it's cool? Those people think it's weird. So how about I just figure out what I think is cool, you know? And this is a good example where like you do need to learn when to fit in though. If in a certain culture or a certain area that you're living in, it would be disrespectful to do this thing, then that's when you do need to learn how to fit in, right? Because how you present yourself is going to be perceived differently by other people. So you need to remember, over here, like that's perceived like this, and over here, this is perceived like this. Just like you don't wear a suit to a swimming pool, right? And you don't wear a bikini to a funeral. Like, it's a fine line of figuring out what you like and also knowing when to fit in with what other people are doing. Not because you want to be liked, but because you want to be good, remember. So yeah, in the real world, you have to learn how to be yourself. Yeah. 17, kindness always matters. I feel like I've been hearing that since I was in 3rd grade, and I know it's cliche, but it is so true. So like, did someone hurt you and you want to get back at them? Kindness is what makes someone like shrivel when they get kindness back. Imagine you cut someone off, and because they were like you wanted to speed or whatever, and like you were annoyed at the car, and then the car passes you, and instead of flipping you off, which is what you're expecting, they smile. You would be so confused and think about it the rest of the day. You'd be like, wait, why did they smile? It would be unsettling. Kindness is always the best. It never, ever, ever fails. There's something negative that comes with being kind. Like, if you're in a fight with someone and you want people to be on your side, well, if you never, ever fight back in a rude way, then no one's going to not be on your side, right? Like, truth always comes out, so be kind, man. And you also need to learn the difference between being kind and being nice, though, because you can't always be nice or then you're a pushover. Sometimes the kind thing to do is to cut someone off for yourself, or the kind thing to do is to give someone tough love, but cut someone off in a kind way. You know what I mean? So yeah, I also think that something that I've learned is, I think I started doing this in like sophomore year of high school, and I'm really glad I started doing that, which is, if you're wanting to text someone something or say something to someone like not rude, but you're wanting to confront someone, or it might be like controversial to say this, or like, ooh, should I say this or not? If you're like just contemplating, write it in your notes and wait 2 days. If in 2 days you still want to send the text, send the text. If you don't, which you usually won't, don't send it. I found that I usually end up not wanting to send the text after 2 days, and I usually will change it to something a little different, a little more unbothered, because you just want to live above all the drama, guys, and be above the drama. The best way to fight drama is by not submitting to it, okay? And I know in the moment we're like, we have to send this text right now, we have to. In the grand scheme of things, 2 days wouldn't matter if you conveyed something to someone 2 days differently than when you first wrote it. Like, in 10 years, you're not gonna be like, oh, I wish I sent that 2 days before. You're not. So just wait 2 days. There's no harm in waiting 2 days. If you want to send it, you can still send it, you know? Number 18, know when to say yes and how to say no. The things you are quick to say yes to are sometimes the things you need to say no about. And the things you're quick to say no to are often the things you need to learn how to say yes about. So an example of this is, like, for me in high school, I was addicted to hanging out with people. And so I needed to learn how to say no to hanging out with people, and learn how to hang out with myself, and be by myself. And if you're the opposite, then, hi, Charlie. And if you're the opposite, you need to learn how to hang out with people instead of just being by yourself, or say yes to doing things like helping your sister with homework, because it'll reward you later down the road. If you can't learn how to say no to things as a teenager, it would only get harder because the stakes rise as you get older. So learn how to say no now. Number 19, the 3-person rule. I learned this in like middle school, and I think it's so good. You should have 3 types of people in your life, or three different friends in your life. One is not friend, but people. One is a mentor, someone who's above you, who has been through the phase of life you're already in, who can help you through it and give you advice and wise counsel about it. One is someone in the same phase of life as you, that you can walk through life together and learn together and grow together. And then one is someone who's in a phase below you, a phase of life you've already been through, that you can help them out, because helping others helps ourselves, like I said earlier. This could be a little sister, could be someone from church or someone from the community center that you kind of take in under your wing and help them out. Number 20, don't neglect self-care. So on TikTok, I saw this TikTok video, and I don't know who created it, but I think it's so good. They said, if you feel like you hate everyone, eat. If you feel like everyone hates you, sleep. If you feel like you hate yourself, shower. If you feel like everyone hates everyone, go outside. So doing things like this, it puts yourself in perspective. Habitual health and responsibilities can change your perspective towards things, such as, you're in this kind of rut of being like, nothing matters, like everything is pointless. And then you realize, man, like, I haven't done anything for myself today. I feel gross, I haven't eaten, and then you eat, and then you realize that you can change that perspective from nothing matters to nothing matters. I can live my life, or the perspective of everything affects everything. And you're like in a rut, like, oh my gosh, everything I do affects everything. Like, that's going to send me in a spiral. Or you do something good for yourself and you're healthy, and that kind of switches to everything matters. Like, I get to live my life and know that this little action could affect something like down the road. And so I think another thing to remember is if Jordan Peterson, one of his biggest advice for young people is to make your bed every morning. He says the things you repeat every day, that's your life. And I think it's so true. Take 45 seconds. You're going to be 45 seconds late to school. That's fine. It's 45 seconds. Take 45 seconds and make your bed. And then once that becomes second nature, add another good habit into your day until that becomes second nature, and start building good, healthy habits for yourself. Going on a walk, going on a run, talking to someone, this many times a day, whatever. But like, start with making your bed. Make your bed every day. That's all I'm wanting you to do, is just make your bed every day. And yeah, I think like a last note kind of leads back to it is, if you think the purpose in life is to be happy, you will have a very unhappy life. Focus on things you can control, like your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. If life is always happy, it would be an incredibly boring life because we wouldn't know why it's happy. And I think Charlie's telling me he wants to leave, so I'm going to wrap this up. But thank you all for listening. And just remember that in the Bible, when Jonah was so upset and like having such a little drama fit, God told him, God could have said whatever he wanted, and he said, how about you take a nap? He told Jonah to take a nap. So when you're feeling down, go take a nap, go take a shower, go do something for yourself. Treasure your teenage years because they go by really fast. And I hope you've all learned something from this, and I will see you next week. Thanks for listening.